The tale commences with the focal character, the faithful hound of the esteemed Baskerville family, Vikier van Baskerville, meeting a grim fate, his head positioned upon the guillotine. Unjustly accused of consorting with the demon clan, Vikier faces his demise with a heavy heart, yet not without resolve. As the blade descends, he solemnly vows to forsake his existence as a mere hound if granted another chance at life. Awakening from the throes of death, Vikier finds himself disoriented, his senses awash with confusion. Surrounding him is a cacophony of noise, akin to the clamor of the underworld. Perplexed, he surveys his unfamiliar surroundings, his body burdened with an unexplained weight. Amidst the chaos, a nursery emerges into focus, filled with wailing children. Could this be the infernal realm he feared? Meanwhile, the patriarch of the Baskerville family, Hugo Le Baskerville, conducts his inspection of the nursery. Dismissing the cries of the children as inconsequential, he deems them mere refuse. Yet, as his gaze falls upon Vikier, a peculiar calmness emanates from the child, a stark contrast to the clamor around him. Hugo's command echoed through the chamber, resonating with authority as Vikier was relocated to the foreboding cradle of swords. Within its confines, Vikier's gaze met Hugo's with a seething resentment, a silent acknowledgement of the treachery that had led him to this fate. Betrayed by the very hand that once fed him, Vikier grappled with the bitter realization that his loyalty had been repaid with a sentence of death. As he lay within the cradle, memories flooded back, of a life spent in servitude to the Baskerville family, born into obscurity and raised amidst poverty. Trained to be nothing more than a faithful hound, Vikier had harbored dreams of recognition, yearning for a place among the esteemed ranks of the family. Yet, his aspirations crumbled beneath the weight of deception, his demise orchestrated to silence the secrets he held. Determined to rewrite the narrative of his existence, Vikier saw the Cradle of Swords as a crucible of transformation, a chance to forge himself anew. For within the Baskerville lineage, passage through the maze of blades was the crucible of every child's potential. To emerge unscathed was to earn the right to be tested by the Styx River, its legendary waters imbuing the chosen few with unparalleled strength. With each laceration, Vikier pressed forward, his resolve unyielding amidst the echoes of his past. Cast aside by kin, denied the recognition he craved, he vowed to seize this opportunity with an iron grip. And so, with each step, he forged ahead, driven by the singular purpose of claiming the river's blessing for himself. As he navigated the treacherous labyrinth, memories of rejection mingled with the sting of his wounds, fueling his determination to succeed where he once faltered. And when at last he plunged into the Styx River's depths, agony coursed through his veins, a testament to the price of his ambition. Yet, even as his attendants clamored for his retreat, Vikier clung to consciousness, unwilling to relinquish his hold on destiny's thread. Meanwhile, Hugo's eyes gleamed with anticipation as he turned to the Baskerville family's head butler, John Barrymore, seeking an update on Vikier's ordeal in the Styx River. Barrymore dutifully reported that approximately 7 minutes had elapsed since Vikier's immersion. With a smirk playing upon his lips, Hugo mused aloud, jesting about the possibility of Vikier succumbing to the river's depths. As tension mounted among the attendants, their worried gazes beseeching Hugo for intervention, the patriarch's amusement persisted. Calling out to Vikier in a futile attempt to coax him from the water's embrace, Hugo's words fell upon deaf ears. Vikier, consumed by the allure of the Styx River's essence, remained steadfast in his determination to seize the opportunity it presented. Yet, as the water threatened to overwhelm him, Vikier's resolve was tested to its limits. Refusing to yield, he gritted his teeth against the encroaching peril, each moment a battle against the tide of oblivion. Just as it seemed he might succumb to the depths, Hugo intervened, a smirk of triumph gracing his features as he hauled Vikier from the water's grasp. Observing Vikier's unexpected possession of teeth, Hugo's curiosity piqued, prompting him to inquire further. Learning the identity of the audacious newborn, Vikier van Baskerville, Hugo's smirk widened into a sardonic grin, deeming the infant's actions as indicative of avarice. Unbeknownst to Hugo, Vikier, though weakened, harbored his own designs, plotting in the shadows to avenge the injustices inflicted upon him. Born of illicit union to the noble Hugo Le Baskerville, Vikier's infancy bore witness to a precocious intellect that surpassed his tender years. Determined to rewrite the course of his fate, Vikir's mind churned with schemes of retribution, envisioning a future where the Baskerville legacy crumbled at his hands. Yet, within the esteemed confines of the Baskerville lineage, Vikir found himself relegated to the shadows, dismissed as unremarkable due to his lack of direct descent from the family's illustrious bloodline. Undeterred by this perceived inadequacy, Vikir embarked on a journey of self-discovery, delving into realms of intrigue and danger, assassination, espionage, and conquest, becoming the crucible in which his talents flourished. As the sands of time marched forward, Vikir honed his skills, each mission a testament to his prowess. By the age of 20, his name echoed through whispered corridors, tales of his exploits painting a portrait of a formidable operative. Yet, despite his achievements, the specter of lineage loomed large, casting a shadow of doubt upon his accomplishments. At the dawn of his 30th year, the gates to the demonic realm yawned open, heralding an onslaught of terror as the demon clans descended upon the realm. Stepping forth as a stalwart defender, Vikir's blade sang with the fury of righteousness, his valor unmatched as he waged war against the encroaching darkness. For 5 long years, he battled amidst the chaos, a beacon of hope amidst the turmoil. When the fires of conflict finally subsided, it was humanity that emerged triumphant, and Vikir stood among the revered champions of his people. Yet, instead of accolades, he was met with scorn and baseless accusations, his heroism tarnished by the venom of deceit. And so, it was upon the cold steel of the guillotine's blade that Vikir met his end, betrayed by the very kingdom he had sworn to protect. Awakening in the confines of the nursery, Vikir's gaze swept the room, the realization of his survival washing over him like a tidal wave of relief and triumph. The Styx River's essence coursed through his veins, a testament to his resilience and determination. With this newfound boon, Vikir knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he stood ready to face them head-on, armed with the strength of his convictions and the resolve of a warrior reborn. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and a maid quietly slipped into the room, her eyes widening in surprise at the sight before her. She couldn't help but murmur to herself, questioning why Madame would request such an unusual item to be placed on young Master Vikir's bed. Vikir himself was taken aback by the maid's reference to Madame, as he had never anticipated any kindness from the Baskerville family, considering his status as a bastard. After leaving a box on Vikir's bed, the maid departed. Upon opening the box, Vikir was met with a horrifying sight. 2 bloody mambas slithered out. Fear gripped him as he contemplated whether Madame had sent them as assassins. Aware of the limited number of people referred to as Madame in the Baskerville family, Vikir suspected that someone was trying to eliminate competition. As the mambas hissed menacingly, Vikir realized the danger they posed to the infants in the nursery. Despite the peril, he bravely seized both vipers with his bare hands. Fueled by resentment, Vikir resolved to dismantle the entire Baskerville family with his own efforts. The following day, the Baskerville household was astounded to discover the child sleeping peacefully beside the lifeless vipers. All the nannies who had been on duty that night suffered gruesome executions, yet the mystery surrounding the appearance of the vipers persisted. Only young Vikir knew the truth, harboring it within him as a silent witness to the family's secrets. 8 years had passed, and Vikir found himself once again in the classroom, attentively listening to his teacher's lecture on the intricacies of swordsmanship. As the teacher elucidated the different levels of mastery, Vikir absorbed the knowledge with keen interest. Beginning with the sword beginner, who had yet to harness mana in their blade, the teacher progressed to the sword expert, capable of infusing a hint of mana into their strikes. Moving on, the class learned about the sword graduator, where the blade emitted a liquid-like aura of mana, and finally, the pinnacle of skill, the sword master, able to mold mana into solid form with fluidity and precision. The mention of Sir Hugo, renowned as the mightiest among the Baskervilles and a true sword master, elicited gasps of surprise from the assembled students. Amidst the collective astonishment, Vikir's mind wandered, his thoughts dwelling on his past prowess and the desire to reclaim it, especially after his regression before the coming-of-age ceremony. Observing Vikir's introspective demeanor, the teacher held him in high regard, recognizing his exceptional attributes. Having witnessed Vikir's remarkable feat of enduring 7 minutes submerged in the Styx River, the teacher harbored a belief in Vikir's latent talent, surpassing that of his peers. Anticipating the patriarch's pride in Vikir's progress, the teacher envisioned a promising future for the young student. Lost in contemplation of how many years it would take to confront Hugo, Vikir remained oblivious to the sinister glares cast by the triplets as the class concluded. Unbeknownst to him, they harbored ill intentions towards him. Swiftly, they cornered Vikir, pushing him and subjecting him to cruel mockery, labeling him a garbage van, and dredging up rumors of his extraordinary feats as a mere infant, tales of diving into the Styx River and throttling 2 vipers. Vikir recognized the triplets as the perpetrators of past violence against him during his ordeal of defamation. Known collectively as Hugo Le Baskerville's Trident, their names, Highborough, Middleborough, and Lowborough, belied their tender age of 9. Undeterred by Vikir's silence, they persisted in their verbal assault, dismissing his protestations as lies and openly expressing their disdain for him. Seething with indignation, Vikir foresaw the trouble they would undoubtedly cause in the years to come and contemplated the necessity of asserting his dominance now. Confronting the triplets head-on, he found himself confronted by a blade brandished by one of them, who taunted him with a rumor: the purported invincibility conferred by prolonged immersion in the Styx River. With chilling unanimity, the other 2 triplets echoed their compatriot's assertion, while the third issued a command for one of them to restrain Vikir. The triplets seized Vikir from behind, muffling his protests with a hand over his mouth, while arrogantly proclaiming a challenge. He'd eat his own hand if Vikir endured their torment for 3 minutes. Initially unfazed, Vikir played along with the cruel charade. Despite their attempts to harm him with a knife, time passed. 1 minute, then 3, then 10. Yet Vikir remained untouched, unyielding. Slowly, the triplets began to grasp the truth behind the legendary tales they had heard. Growing weary of their futile game, they released Vikir, but as the grip loosened, noticed blood on the triplet's hand and realized a finger was missing. To their horror, Vikir spat out the severed digit, a twisted reminder of the triplets' foolish boast. Shocked and bewildered, they suggested seeking help from a priest to reattach the finger, but Vikir had other plans. Demanding to know who had granted them release, Vikir was met with further aggression from the triplet, who attacked him with a knife, hurling insults and reminders of their seniority. Unflinching, Vikir allowed the blade to strike, yet it failed to pierce his skin, defying their expectations. With steely resolve, Vikir twisted the triplet's hand, asserting the dominance of Baskerville blood, where strength and talent trumped age. With a chilling grin, Vikir suggested they continue their game to its conclusion. Mercilessly, he twisted their limbs, eliciting cries of pain as he declared the supremacy of Baskerville lineage. The triplets, now terrified, exchanged looks of disbelief as Vikir unleashed a swift, punishing blow, knocking one to the ground while the others watched in shock. In a fit of rage, the third triplet launched an attack, only to be swiftly rebuffed as Vikir delivered a decisive kick to their face, sending them crashing down. Silence engulfed the room as the triplets lay battered and defeated, while Vikir stood tall, a cold and unyielding figure. With a final decree, he informed them they would receive treatment, but would not be allowed to leave, forced to confront the consequences of their actions within the confines of their own bodies. However, he decided to show a measure of mercy, offering the triplets a chance for one of them to leave. Startled yet relieved by this unexpected reprieve, they eagerly inquired about the criteria for selection. With a calculated gesture, Vikir tossed a knife before them, leaving the decision of who would depart to their own judgment. As he turned to leave, Vikir couldn't resist a parting taunt, urging them to decide quickly, lest time run out. At least one of them should survive, after all. The triplets exchanged wary glances, realizing that their survival depended on their own cunning. With survival instinct kicking in, they engaged in a desperate struggle, each vying to gain control of the knife and secure their freedom. The echoes of their strife reverberated through the room, a testament to Vikir's success in sowing discord among the Baskerville trio. Meanwhile, in the sanctum of the Patriarch's office, John Barrymore, the esteemed head butler, delivered troubling news to Patriarch Hugo Le Baskerville. Reports had surfaced of turmoil in the ruby mines, claimed as territory by the Morg clan. Patriarch Hugo remained resolute, assuring John that they would address the issue in due course. However, John hesitated as he broached the subject of recent unrest at the juvenile fortress. Detailing the injuries sustained by the young masters in the altercation, John relayed the extent of the physical and psychological damage inflicted. Patriarch Hugo, taken aback by the severity of the incident, expressed concern for the fractured relationships among the young masters. Upon learning of Vikir's involvement, Hugo summoned him to his chambers. As Vikir entered, a smile gracing his lips, Patriarch Hugo noted his growth since their last encounter. However, their conversation soon turned to the incident with the triplets. While Vikir maintained that they had received proper medical care, Hugo emphasized the deeper wounds inflicted on their familial bond. Questioning Vikir's actions, Hugo probed whether he recognized the moral implications of his deeds. In response, Vikir posed a counter-question, seeking clarification on what exactly he had done wrong. Patriarch Hugo didn't mince words, pointing out the havoc Vikir had wreaked upon his brothers. Unfazed, Vikir met Hugo's gaze with unwavering confidence, asserting that strength dictated rightness, a sentiment echoed in the crimson intensity of his eyes. However, Hugo disclosed a surprising twist. Vikir's brothers had extended forgiveness, yet Vikir remained devoid of remorse. Perplexed by this revelation, Vikir queried incredulously, "They forgave me?" His mind flashed back to a poignant memory predating his regression, involving a visit from a nun, the youngest daughter of a family ruined by the Baskerville clan. Despite their ancestral wrongdoing, she had offered Hugo forgiveness, an act Vikir now mirrored in his recollection. Parroting Hugo's own words to the nun, Vikir expounded on the concept of forgiveness as a crutch for the weak, unable to exact vengeance due to their own frailty. Hugo, nodding in agreement, affirmed Vikir's discourse on strength. Turning to his trusted head butler, Barrymore, Hugo bestowed upon Vikir the privilege of selecting any snack from the storage, a gesture of appreciation for his son's prowess. Gratefully, Vikir opted for chocolates, his indulgence of choice. As they departed, Hugo addressed Vikir with paternal pride, urging him to excel in the impending evaluation and not to falter against the direct descendants. Though Vikir acknowledged the counsel, a simmering undercurrent of animosity lingered beneath his facade. Accompanied by the head butler, Vikir made his way to the storage room, where Barrymore regaled him with details of the coveted chocolates. The pinnacle of culinary excellence sourced through great effort by the Morg clan, relished by discerning gourmands. However, Vikir swiftly interjected, expressing his disdain for processed foods. Perplexed, the head butler sought clarification, prompting Vikir to specify his desire for raw cacao beans, renowned for their robust aroma. Though bewildered by this unconventional request, the head butler acquiesced, ensuring the beans were promptly procured for Vikir's inspection. As Vikir sampled a single bean, the chef elaborated on its significance. These were the famed bloody beans, prized for their potent aroma, capable of yielding an impressive quantity of chocolate with minimal processing. Observing Vikir's consumption of the bitter bean, the head butler marveled at his dedication to chocolate, recognizing the strategic advantage of possessing such a bountiful raw resource. Offering to process the beans into chocolate for Vikir's convenience, the chef was met with Vikir's refusal, opting instead to take them as they were. Puzzled by Vikir's idiosyncratic preferences, the head butler couldn't help but wonder about the young master's unconventional tastes. Unbeknownst to them, Vikir harbored a clandestine agenda for the cacao beans, intending to utilize them in the imminent practical exam. Little did they anticipate, their preparations would soon be eclipsed by an unprecedented calamity, destined to alter the course of Baskerville clan history forever. In this world, the formidable Baskerville family is revered as the Berserker clan, renowned for subjecting their progeny to rigorous training and evaluations from infancy. Their grueling regimen begins with the children's first steps, culminating in a merciless evaluation at the age of 8. A trial by fire that solidifies the family's fearsome reputation. Located on the outskirts of their domain lies the formidable Le Rouge-le-Noir mountain, teeming with formidable monsters. It is here that the young heirs, known as young hounds, converge to face their ultimate test under the guidance of their instructor, Shadow Dog Pavlov van Baskerville. Standing before the young masters, Pavlov outlines the rules of their trial. Survive for a month amidst the perilous terrain, hunting formidable prey. Success yields 10 points, while unscathed survival garners 30, a testament to their resilience and prowess. The evaluation system was intricate. Failure resulted in a mere 10 points. Surviving without defeating others earned 50. Slaying a monster while surviving accrued 70. And achieving all three feats granted a formidable 90 points. Pavlov further incentivized strategic gameplay, offering additional points for badge theft. Yet he cautioned against hubris, echoing Sir Hugo's wisdom that arrogance spelled a swordsman's demise. Pavlov emphasized the peril of the Le Rouge et Le Noir mountain, a domain rife with unknown dangers. He urged adherence to designated areas, where the terrain had been tamed, warning against venturing into uncharted territory. Shadow dogs, concealed observers, would clandestinely assess their performance. As anticipation mounted, murmurs circulated among the young masters, some exchanging tales of Vikir's past exploits. Unfazed, Vikir maintained his composure, contemplating the mountain's challenges. Nearby, the triplets quivered with apprehension, perspiring with fear. Pavlov's parting words of encouragement preceded the tolling bell, initiating the exam. In a flurry of motion, the young masters dispersed, each sprinting toward strategic vantage points across the mountain. One among them harbored a calculated plan, intent on exploiting knowledge gleaned from previous exams to gain an advantage. The young master, trailing behind, sensed his own vulnerability and chose to shadow his peer, eyeing an opportunity to seize advantage. Meanwhile, the triplets bickered amongst themselves, each vying for supremacy, their discord echoing through the tumult of the exam. Pavlov, ever vigilant, oversaw the commencement of the trial, cognizant of the imperative to minimize casualties. While fatalities weren't expressly prohibited, Pavlov and his fellow shadow dogs endeavored to discourage bloodshed, imposing penalties for those who resorted to lethal means. Assigned to monitor Vikir, one shadow dog observed his unconventional path, venturing into restricted terrain. Intrigued by Vikir's rumored brilliance, the shadow dog eagerly anticipated witnessing his skills in action. As Vikir approached a towering tree, he contemplated its suitability as a temporary campsite, envisioning respite amidst the soft earth. While his peers engaged in combat or confronted monsters, Vikir busied himself with mundane tasks, gathering wood, honing his skills with a wooden staff, and eventually settling down for a peaceful rest beneath the tree's sheltering boughs. The observing shadow dog, growing increasingly impatient, questioned Vikir's passive approach. Puzzled by Vikir's apparent lack of urgency, he doubted the validity of rumors surrounding Vikir's genius, speculating whether Vikir intended to evade the trial altogether. With the departure of the shadow dog, Vikir's countenance brightened, a smile of relief gracing his features. Finally free from prying eyes, he savored the tranquility of his makeshift camp, reminiscing about simpler times spent beneath the open sky. Recalling a conversation with a fellow adventurer about the unconventional use of cacao beans to mask fishy odors, Vikir tossed a handful into the crackling fire, exulting in the newfound solitude and completing his preparations. Days later, Vikir ventured into the forbidden territory, its familiar landmarks stirring memories of past explorations. As he traversed the rugged terrain, a pungent scent and charred remnants caught his attention, telltale signs of the elusive monster's presence. Following the trail of destruction, he encountered the source, a towering figure wreathed in flames, the dreaded Hellhound. Standing before Vikir, the Hellhound exuded menace, flames licking from its jaws and eyes. Renowned for bringing calamity to all in its path, this B+ rated threat posed a formidable challenge. Its sulfurous flames, volatile and lethal, could reduce anything they touched to ash. Vikir recognized the gravity of the situation, facing off against a creature born from the depths of hell itself, the Lookout Monster, guardian of the hellfires of the oil world, the Hellhound. Renowned as one of the most perilous creatures in the realm, the Hellhound posed a formidable challenge, one Vikir had narrowly survived in his previous life at the age of 18. Now, as an 8-year-old, Vikir understood the futility of facing the beast head-on. Yet, he harbored a cunning plan, a tactic he recalled even a child could execute. As the hellhound lunged menacingly, Vikir evaded its charge, exploiting its first weakness, the inability to deviate from a straight path. Seizing the moment, he splashed water onto the ground, revealing the creature's second vulnerability, its aversion to crossing water. Forced to circumvent the obstacle, the hellhound's pursuit was delayed, affording Vikir precious moments to strategize. Aware that even a shallow pool could hinder the beast's advance, Vikir exploited the common weakness of canine monsters, their tendency to open their mouths while running. With the hellhound closing in, Vikir deftly hurled a bloody bean into its gaping maw, inducing agonizing paralysis. Exploiting the chocolate's toxic effect on canines, magnified by the bean's potency, Vikir swiftly moved to deliver the coup de grace. Drawing his sword, Vikir targeted the hellhound's vulnerable flank, where its ribs offered minimal protection: the kidney. With a precise strike, Vikir dispatched the creature with ease, emerging victorious from yet another life-threatening encounter. As Vikir absorbed the essence of XP or karma from the vanquished monster, a surge of strength coursed through his veins. With each swing of his sword, he sensed its weight diminishing, a tangible sign of his progress towards reclaiming his former prowess before his regression at the age of 15. Contemplating the astonishment that Hugo would surely display upon seeing an 8-year-old bring down a B+ rated monster, Vikir stood poised, ready to claim his hard-earned trophy. Yet, his triumph was fleeting, disrupted by the ominous approach of a pack of avenging hellhounds, intent on retribution for their fallen comrade. Unfazed, Vikir remained composed, his mind already calculating strategies to overcome these formidable adversaries. As the hellhounds closed in, Vikir readied his blade, armed with a cache of bloody beans and a wealth of tactical knowledge. With a smirk of confidence, Vikir swiftly dispatched the fallen hellhound, taunting its brethren with the assurance of his superiority. However, their sudden whimpering gave pause to Vikir's bravado, prompting him to turn and confront an unexpected adversary, the legendary Cerberus. Toweringly massive and boasting a risk rating of A+, the Cerberus stood before Vikir, a formidable challenge unlike any he had faced before. Surveying the creature's wounded form, Vikir discerned its vulnerability, realizing it had been pursued to this unlikely locale. Seizing the opportunity to confront an injured A+ rated monster, Vikir steeled himself for battle. Despite the Cerberus's fearsome reputation, Vikir concealed his true prowess as a sword expert, honed through clandestine training and strengthened by the mystical waters of the river Styx. With weapons primed and determination ablaze, Vikir prepared to engage the formidable beast in a battle that would test his skills to their limits. With the honed skill of a seasoned swordsman, crafted through grueling conflicts with demon clans, Vikir deftly struck at the Cerberus. Confident in his ability to overcome the wounded beast, he pressed his advantage, believing victory to be within his grasp. Yet, a fleeting lapse in vigilance proved costly, as the Cerberus retaliated with ferocious claws, shattering Vikir's sword and launching him through the air with devastating force. Crashing into a sturdy tree trunk, Vikir's world blurred in a haze of agony as blood spilled from his lips. The impact left him grievously wounded, his body sprawled and broken upon the forest floor. As consciousness ebbed and flowed, Vikir's panicked senses registered the searing pain in his left arm, fearing the worst yet relieved to find it still attached, albeit marred by injury. Grateful for the protective touch of the river Styx's magic, Vikir knew he couldn't rely solely on its ephemeral shield. With every labored breath, he weighed the severity of his injuries and the looming threat of the Cerberus's relentless assault. Determined to evade further harm, Vikir dodged and weaved, drawing upon his hunter's instinct to seek refuge in flight. As his pounding footsteps echoed through the undergrowth, Vikir's gaze fixated on a distant glimmer of hope, an iron fence beckoning just beyond reach. With renewed resolve, he sprinted towards the barrier, each step fueled by the primal urge for survival. With a surge of relief, he breached the confines of the restricted zone, yet the specter of danger loomed large. Pressing onward towards his prepared sanctuary, Vikir's mind raced with tactics born of desperation. Spotting a pit he had strategically readied, he vaulted over the yawning maw of the Cerberus's jaws, sending the beast crashing into the waiting trap below. A sinister smile graced Vikir's lips as he beheld his cunning plan unfold, the poisoned wooden spears exacting their toll upon the formidable adversary. Despite his triumph, Vikir remained keenly aware of the peril that lurked in the shadows. Vikir poised himself with a meticulously crafted wooden spear, hurling it towards the towering figure of the Cerberus. The projectile found its mark, embedding itself in the hellhound's flank. Yet, to Vikir's dismay, the creature remained undeterred, its fiery gaze fixed upon him, poised for retaliation. As the Cerberus advanced, each heavy footfall reverberating through the air, Vikir maintained a steady count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With the seventh step, the beast faltered, collapsing before him in a motionless heap. Relief washed over Vikir as he realized the efficacy of his weapon, a spear infused with the venom of the deadly bloody mamba snake. Known to halt its victim's steps after 7 paces, Vikir had safeguarded this potent tool since his youth, foreseeing its utility in dire circumstances. Standing amidst the 3 inert heads of the fallen beast, Vikir absorbed the residual energy, marveling at the newfound strength coursing through him. Yet, practical concerns soon clouded his triumph. Transporting the massive carcass posed a formidable challenge, and Vikir pondered potential witnesses to the Cerberus's demise. Contemplating the guardian knight who had witnessed his preparations, Vikir's thoughts veered towards the true purpose of the Cerberus's guardianship: a hidden dungeon. Anticipation surged within him at the prospect of untold treasures concealed within its depths, though he recognized the inherent dangers of such ventures. Before venturing forth, Vikir cunningly masked his scent with Cerberus feces, a precaution against lesser beasts lurking in the shadows. With keen senses honed by years of survival, he traced the Cerberus's trail through the forest, discerning subtle signs of its passage amidst the natural landscape. As he traversed the familiar terrain, Vikir's intuition guided him towards the dungeon's entrance. He knew that time was of the essence, for within a decade, this sanctuary would be discovered by others. Yet, in the present moment, he sensed the latent mana pulsating beneath the decayed surface, beckoning him towards untold secrets waiting to be unearthed. With cautious steps, Vikir approached the yawning entrance of the dungeon, its darkness swallowing the feeble light of the outside world. Undeterred by the ominous aura, his crimson eyes ablaze with anticipation, he ventured forth into the unknown depths.